We look at acoustic levels, how much vibration is going on in the airplane. The instrumentation level fills up numerous huge data tapes. The amount of data we gather is incredible.
The ground crew has been working all night. With less than 2 hours before takeoff, tensions are running high. As the F-22 stands poised on the ramp, there's a vital detail that can be ignored only at great risk to pilot and plane. The runway. Before every flight of the F-22, the ramp and runway are painstakingly cleared of potentially lethal foreign object debris, or FOD, in what's called the FOD walk.
These motors have a lot of sucking power, and we cannot afford damage to the motors. So we go through and ensure there's no FOD on the ramp, no one has dropped anything, and there's a lot of equipment being moved around on the ramp, and ensure there's nothing there to cut tires, and also that the engines can suck up. And we do that every time that we're going to go fly.
Every pilot must perform a final walk-around. Rainey looks for anything loose or leaking, anything out of place. Next stop, life support. Rainey dons another vital part of the F-22, his flight suit. This new suit is specific to the Raptor. It's even a prototype. It's designed to provide a controlled cockpit environment.
This hooks up to the aircraft environmental control system and provides cooling air to me to keep me cool in flight. In fact, our entire life support ensemble is unique to the F-22, and it's designed to provide additional G tolerance or fatigue under higher G. But as you see, as I start putting on these layers and layers of G protection, you start to really look and feel like the Pillsbury Doughboy. All of this stuff is man-rated now. It has been tested by subjects in the laboratories, so what we're doing is testing it in the environment that the airplane's going to be in. Now we're ready for this thing. You want to put this on? Sure. Now, what I'd recommend you do...
The F-22 helmet is new as well. It's designed to withstand pilot ejection speeds of 600 knots. This helmet has built-in active noise reduction to block out the roar of the jet engines. The quiet aids the pilot's ability to focus and concentrate. Final checks. All systems are go. While Rainey will be physically alone in the plane, he actually has an entire team with him every step of the way. From engine start to touchdown, his flight is monitored, instant by instant, by the crew in mission control. In the unlikely event of a problem with the flight, they will prove invaluable in guiding Rainey and the F-22 safely back to Earth.
During a test flight, I am a test conductor. Within the control room, we have about anywhere from 38 to 40 engineers. I am the one focal point that speaks to the pilot, clears the pilot for the test points, and if for any reason we have any trouble or problems, I pass that on to the pilot and just pace the overall mission.
Other eyes and ears designed to ensure a safe test flight are those in the F-15 or F-16 chase planes.
I periodically check over the aircraft itself to make sure there are no leaks, there's no panels coming loose. Whenever he lowers the landing gear or raises the landing gear or something, I slide in and take a look to make sure that it's all where everything should be. Lastly, we have a photog with us. The photographer is documenting in still and video the aircraft, and this is both, we're taking both public relations kinds of shots and documenting anything that might happen. If we're doing engine tests, we want to document the nozzles opening and closing and to make sure that there's no puffs of smoke, etc. In this program, we have an airplane that can clearly outperform the airplane you're chasing with. He can out-accelerate me, he will be able to out-turn me. He can fly slower than I can, and there's nothing more awkward than an airplane that flies slower than you and you're trying to figure out how to stay behind him. You don't want to spit out in front of him and then have him do a rapid turn and run into you. So you have to stay clear of him, and the mismatch of aircraft performance is always an interesting challenge.
Rainey taxis out and stops near the runway. Communication links are tested. This is the final moment when every system is checked to ensure that the optimum safety levels have been achieved. The pilots call this place Last Chance.
When it taxis out, the last chance is the last chance for the maintenance to look at the airplane to say, yes, it's airworthiness, tires are good, and we do a general look over when it takes a few minutes of the open areas, and he also performs some flight control checks for the control room, or they might have him look at different items, and they also say, we're ready to go enter the active on the runway. And they do that after I had cleared him, and I say, yes, the airplane looks good from the ground portion of it. And then he says he's ready to go.
Rainey is now ready to take to the air and risk his life in an unproven new system. Rainey has performed his last chance tests. Mission Control clears the planes for takeoff. The test is a go. The first plane to take off is an F-15 chase plane. It's his job to make sure the immediate vicinity is cleared, and then he circles back around in order to film the F-22 takeoff from the air. Rainey now has the F-22 right where he wants it, in the sky. During the test, the control room monitors Rainey's and the Raptor's every move.
Looks like we got a successful.
Rainey works the F-22 through the various test cards, always alert for unusual behavior. Rainey climbs to 35,000 feet. He begins with some simple maneuvers, gradually increasing the difficulty. The first series of tests involve basic flying qualities of the Raptor, learning about its handling at various subsonic speeds. Eventually, the Raptor will fly at twice the speed of sound. Next comes a test of increasingly steep angles of flight. But ultimately, the Raptor will have an unlimited angle of attack. Rainey then moves the Raptor in various ways to test the responsiveness of the jet in its flight controls. Next, the Raptor is side-slipped. The plane continues to travel in one direction, even though the nose is pointed in another. Rainey and Mission Control are pleased with the results. Throughout the flight, the many sensors on the skin of the plane are receiving data. Avionics are checking out. The new flight suit and helmet are working well. Vital in any engagement with enemy fighters is the ability to maneuver quickly. The plane must be responsive to the pilot's slightest command. Rainey rolls the Raptor first 45 degrees to one side, then to the other. Then a 180-degree roll.